All right. Well, that took a little while, but welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something really important and something that is not, it's often overlooked, and it is how to write a great course creator bio. You see, your course creator bio is actually really, really important, but we don't often give it much thought. And so part of the mastermind team decided, hey, this would be a really good topic to go over. And they asked me to go over my strategy for creating a great course creator bio. So today, that's what we're going to cover. Without further ado, I just want to get into it. So think about your course creator bio as a key marketing element of your course. When people go, I'll tell you what I do. When I go to somebody's course, especially somebody that I don't know, I typically will look at their course description page. I'll read what they say about their course. And if that interests me, then I'll go to their bio and I'll try to figure out, like, is this person qualified to teach this course? And when I say qualified, I don't mean they have degrees or credentials or anything like that. What I want to know is, do they have real world experience in what they're teaching, right? So I'm going to go through this strategy, and hopefully you take notes with this, or you can come back to the same link later and refer to it again in writing your course creator bio. I like to think of it in two sections. The first section is why it is that you can teach them. What is it about you that qualifies you to teach them? That's section number one. Section number two is a little more personal. It's more about who you are as a person. Sometimes people get this wrong and they start off talking about who they are as a person, and then they go into why they are qualified to teach. I suggest that you start with why you're qualified to teach. Okay, so let's talk about section one first and what goes into section one. The most important question that you want to answer in section one is, how does your experience help them? What is it about what you learned, how you develop these skills, experience, knowledge? What is it about your experience that can uniquely help them? So you want to focus, just like in any marketing, you want to focus on the benefits, benefits, benefits to them. Now, it's fine. It's great to tell your story in section one. In fact, I recommend that you kind of write it out as a story. How you discovered this solution, how you found yourself in a situation, that you were able to solve the problem, etc. It's always best to use story, right? Story, it captures the imagination, gets people interested, much better than writing a dry bio that just says, I am this, 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 and therefore, I'm qualified. So if you can, tell your story again, but keep it as it relates to them and the solution they're trying to find, right? So when I say benefits, benefits, benefits to them, what I mean is, um, in telling your story in this bio, and we want to keep it short, right? But this is kind of the whole gist of it. In telling your story, you explain that you learned, let's say A, and then B, and then C, and then you let them know that this is why you decided to create a course, to serve other people, to help other people that were going through what you went through, right? If it's more of a technical topic, you're going to say, I've got this credential and this credential and this credential, and this qualifies me to teach you. And therefore, I can show you how to do A, B, C, D, right? So always tie your experience to what they're learning, and always show them where you gained this experience. And it's okay to brag a little here. It's okay to kind of sell yourself here, right? Too many of us are a little too humble with what we've learned. So it's okay to pump it up a little bit and get people excited about what you know and how you can benefit them. Um, if you can save them time, money, headaches, stress, hassles, mention that here in your bio, because those are some of the benefits that people are buying. Those are the actual things people are buying, right? Sure, they buy a course on a topic, right? But what they're really wanting to do is they're trying to solve a problem, save time, save money, save hassles, save stress, or make more money, make more time, make less hassles and stress, and so on. So tell your story as it relates to them, give them benefits as to why this experience is a benefit to them. It's all about them. It's always all about them. Okay. So that's the tricky part about a bio, is that we think it's where we get to talk about ourselves, right? Yeah, that's okay to some extent. I mean, we are talking about ourselves. We are explaining why we're knowledgeable, why we know what we're doing, etc. But if you don't tie it to what it means for them, then we've lost a great marketing opportunity right there. So always try and use you and me languaging. Try and use languaging that makes it personal. Now I'm going to have a little caveat to this a little later on, right? I'm going to talk about whether you speak in the first person or in the third person. And I'll explain what I mean by that. But first, that's section 1. So now let's go to section 2. The next part of your bio, by the way, these should flow together, okay? So you should go from explaining why you're able to teach them, right, to a little more personal, okay? Who you are as a person. So section 2 would be who you are as a person. Now, this is where you're totally welcome to talk about things you like to do, things you don't like to do, your personal background. Do you have a family? Are you single? You know, what are those more normal things, like more human things about you, right? What kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of sports do you like? What kind of personality are you? You know, quirks and things like that, sports that you like. This is where it's okay to talk a little bit more about yourself. And by the way, I recommend that you do this, because if you don't, then you're not as human, you're not as relatable to people reading your bio. If you just keep it professional, 100% professional, and you only keep it to the benefit you can give them, that's okay. That's good. That's great, right? But to add a little more pizzazz to it, to make you more human, to make you a more well-rounded person in their eyes, you want to talk about more personalized things. What is it? What do you like to do? Like me, I'm always talking about how I like skateboarding, right? And I think it's a weird thing that it's a 57-year-old man that's still skateboarding, right? So, but people remember me, and when they go to my Facebook page, they're like, oh yeah, there's Dave, he's the skateboarder, right? So always try to just share who you really are. And I think the reason that's important is people want to relate to you. People will find commonality with you, right, in this section of your bio. And if you are relatable, if you have anything in common, if you have anything where they can go, oh yeah, that makes sense, or oh wow, they have a very similar background to me, guess what? That's a huge selling point. That'll help you sell a lot more courses. So we covered section 1. In section 1 of your bio, you're talking about why you're able to teach them. And we're talking about what about your experiences makes you qualified to teach them, right? And then in section 2, we're getting more personal. We're sharing our likes, our dislikes, all those things. Now, here's a question that came to mind that I've kind of learned the hard way over time, because I have my course on a lot of different platforms. So all of these have course, bios, instructor bios. And one thing that came to mind is, do I speak in the first person, or do I write it in the third person? First person is where you say, hey, my name is Dave Espino, and I've been teaching digital marketing strategies for over 20 years. It's me and you languaging, right? It's very personal, and it's kind of nice to be that. However, there are times when you're going to want to do it in the third person. What is the third person? This is where you say, Dave Espino is a digital marketing expert. He's published over 80 courses. He has over 790,000 students, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's the difference, and when do you use first person and when do you use third person? Here's my opinion. You can use, whichever one you want, right? But my opinion is this. If your course bio, If you've accomplished a lot and you've got some really almost hard to believe statistics to share in your course bio, if you've, let me give you my example. Okay, so my example is I would use the third person, and here's why. It would sound really braggy and kind of obnoxious, frankly, if I said, I've published over 80 courses and I have 790,000 students in 185 countries around the world. My courses have sold over $140 million on TV, offline, online, etc., and so on. That would sound really braggy and obnoxious if I said it in the first person. If instead I said it in the third person, and it would sound like this. Dave Espino is a nationally recognized expert in online course creation. He's created over 80 courses, published over 80 courses, and his courses have 790,000 students around the world in 185 countries. Okay, if it sounds like somebody's narrating and talking about this person, that's more easy to digest, right? Than if somebody's saying that about themselves. So if your credentials could tend to come across as braggy and kind of obnoxious, if you say it, then switch it to the third person, okay? And that way it's like it's somebody else saying it, okay? And it doesn't sound as braggy. I'll give you an example too. I did this with marketing, one of my courses. Well, actually, I'll give you this example. When we sold my eBay course on TV, right? It wasn't me talking about how great my course was. It was a spokesperson who was interviewing me, and she was talking about how great I was and how great my course was, right? That was what we call proper positioning in marketing. But if I were just starting out, and most of you are just starting out, right? I would probably lean toward the first person narrative. And the first person means that you are talking about yourself and you're talking about how you learn these strategies, how you develop this experience, and how you can be more personal with your course bio because you can speak in the first person and it won't sound like you're bragging, right? It won't sound like you're trying to puff yourself up. So use that as a guideline of whether you speak in the first person or the third person. I think that'll be super helpful. I had another experience where I was marketing a course, and the same thing. Whenever we wanted to position me as an expert, we had the spokesperson talking big about me, right? Instead of me. It just doesn't sound as good if you've got all these accolades and all these different things and you're the one presenting it to them. It's just sounds a little off. The positioning sounds a little bit off. So hopefully that's helpful. That's a little bit of an advanced tip, advanced strategy with whether you word it in the first person or in the third person. If there are many times, even if you're just starting out, where you might want to word it in the third person, because it then gives additional credibility, right? But that's up to you. I'll leave that up to you, whether you want to do it, speaking you and me languaging, or somebody speaking about you. So let's just summarize before we wrap up here. Section 1 is all about why you're qualified to teach them. That's where you give the credentials, but you give them in light of why that's important to them. What's in it for them? What are the benefits to them? That way, we're not talking too much about ourselves. We don't feel like we're bragging about ourselves, but we're showing them how there's real value in them buying our course because we have this experience and they're going to benefit from that experience. It might even be good to say somewhere along the line, hey, look, I learned these things the hard way. I went through the struggles and the hassles to learn this, and now you don't have to. I'll give you the shortcut, right? So you don't have to make the same mistakes I made. You can learn, you can fast forward your success and things like that. Section 1, why are you able to teach them? Section 2, who you are as a person. And that way you end up more relatable, and more relatable generally means more sales. And then just remember the first person narrative or the third person narrative, which one will make sense for you. And that's always good to do. By the way, one other thing that I wanted to mention, this just came to mind, is if you have people who've spoken highly of you, if you have testimonials, if you have people you've helped and they've got an incredible result, and even if you don't have a testimonial, but you have a LinkedIn page and somebody recommended you on your LinkedIn page, you know, they write up a recommendation, whatever you can put there that is additional social proof, that can be really helpful too. Any little testimonials, any little thing, and sometimes it's okay to solicit these if you have like an email list or if you have an audience, a Facebook group or whatever. Say, hey, I'm looking for a few testimonials. If I've served you really well, if I've helped you in, you know, in your life, in your business, in your fitness, whatever it is, right? Hey, please send me in a little blurb that I can add to my course instructor bio so I can help other people as well. It's totally okay to solicit testimonials, assuming they're right, assuming they're truthful, right? We don't want to just make something up. And that way, those little testimonials help a lot. I remember I was coaching for those that are in the Accelerate plan. I was coaching a gentleman who had this incredible experience with filmmaking, and he actually had testimonials from Steven Spielberg, right? He might be listening to it right now, listening to this right now, but he had testimonials from Spielberg. And I'm like, oh man, you put that front and center, you put that right at the beginning of your course bio, right? And you say something along the lines of, here's what Steven Spielberg said about, I forget his name, but about so-and-so. And then you put it in quotation marks and you highlight it and you italicize that testimonial, because that is huge. If I want to learn about filmmaking, obviously I can't learn from Steven Spielberg. He doesn't have a course, but I can learn from this gentleman who's gotten high praise from Steven Spielberg. Guess what? I'm buying this course, right? That's a perfect example of what's in it for me, right? So be thinking about ways you can add testimonials, be thinking ways you can solicit some testimonials if you don't already have them, and use short testimonials, not long ones, short testimonials. If you use a testimonial, what I like to do is I like to pull only the most powerful sentence or two max out of a testimonial. Sometimes people will write a long testimonial and it'll be like 5, 10, 15 sentences. What you want to do is pull the best sentence or two out of that, the one where it shows, hey, so-and-so got me results, so-and-so showed me the way, so-and-so changed my life. I pull that one out because that's all I need, and I pop that in, and that has such a powerful effect. But if you include their entire testimonial and it's 10 sentences long, it loses its pop, it loses its effectiveness, and it's just not as powerful from a sales copy point of view. So, little extra bonus tip. I give you a bonus tip about first person, third person. I give you a bonus tip about adding in some testimonials to your course bio. I think just doing those things and doing the things we've talked about here are going to be super powerful for helping you to sell more courses and get people more excited and really impact more people with your mastermind courses. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as usual. Over here in the United States, we're celebrating the 4th of July this weekend. But no matter where you are in the world, I want to wish you blessings and a great weekend this weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. So have a great one, and we'll see you then. Take care.